Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and when I first walked in to the humble abode of my now partner, I was looking around the walls with the wonderful decorations, all unique, all wonderful. And as you can tell, I do love decorations, definitely ones that are unique, but one stood out. One caught my eye. Hanging up there on the wall, unframed. I couldn't believe it, because as you can tell, I have an interesting taste. Everything on this wall was either gifted by a wonderful fan, or I had one rule where I had to decorate this entire house only from things from Goodwill. I don't know if that comes true. It kind of does. But what was interesting was this right here, which has been a centerpiece of Taylor's trick-taking table. And again, maybe I'm getting sentimental because I'm leaving this set soon. But as you can see, this wonderful framed painting with a cat in the center looking at a tree surrounded by flowers. I absolutely adore this portrait. And you might be saying, Taylor, I can't really see it very well. If only I could see it closer. Well, guess what? That thing that I saw in my now partner's humble abode was none other than the exact same portrait hung up on the wall. Again, unframed. But look at this, a different perspective. Again, you can't see it too well, but that is zoomed in. I don't know if it's because of the portrait or what the angle is, but now I can see the top of the tree. I can see more. There's also a little bit of a different hue to it all, but it's definitely the exact same picture. What a wonderful thing, a new perspective, a new fresh coat of paint can give to the same experience. Oh, if that wasn't a tale for what we're about to talk about, I don't know what is. I brought up in the past, a little bit of a soft launch, that I'm doing a Kickstarter soon. Well, it is in a month now. It's going to be at the end of September, the very end of September, and at the very end, or at the very start of October. October 1st is when it launches. It's called Zoot and More. There's already a BGG page, which I'll have linked below. It's going to be a compendium, a little bit of a love letter to what I just love about the hobby when I was getting into it was Mew, and more, and just that compendium of trick-taking games. This one will have 2 climbing enchanting games, 2 trick-taking games, a meta game. So many wonderful, wonderful people have worked on it. It's kind of, again, like a love letter to the community. We'll get into more detail over the course of September, what I'm calling kind of soft launch September, or soft-tember. But the first game we'll cover from it is one I was so excited to bring to the States. It released in Japan at Tokyo Game Market in 2023 last year, December. And this, much like these 2 pictures, has a little bit of a different perspective. So here was the original game, Short Zoot. And lovely side artwork. That is going to remain the same. Some changes in graphic design, and the biggest thing that is going to be changing is as I played it more and more and more, and I realized what I loved more and more about the design is it was a love letter to short suiting. My favorite thing in trick-taking games. I used to play Hearts, still do all the time. I played it a few hours ago actually, at the time of this recording, and I just love short suiting. It's a number one thing that kind of hooked me in trick-taking games. Like I don't, even to this day, count cards too well, but there's something about short suiting, that feeling of breaking free from those shackles and being able to play whatever you want is such a freeing feeling. I absolutely love it. So this was my love letter to short suiting, and it was, I think, the first real game I designed. So having it part of the collection means so much to me, but like I was saying, as I was playing it more, I wanted to lean even more into the short suiting. So the intermediate scoring that, if you played short suiting, benefits you if you short suit really well, is going to benefit you even more. It's going to push more into that idea of short suiting and balancing that alternative way of scoring in a really interesting way. So this has a fresh coat of paint, both graphically in a way, but also game designerly in a way to lean toward that. We'll cover a little bit of those changes when we go to the table. And actually, all the games that we're going to talk about are going to be a little bit brief overviews. This video is going to be, even though this intro is kind of long, a quicker one. Just want to cover what's different because, again, I have a video for this on the channel, and I have a video for all the ones I'm going to talk about. Speaking of, that was Short Zoot by me, I guess. The other games that we're going to talk about, you might have seen the thumbnail, are 3 of the new Mill games that are coming out. We have Reapers by Daniel Newman. We have Idle Hands Fukutaro, who, Fukutaro is just absolutely amazing. In fact, me and him had a booth at Tokyo Game Market when I sold Short Zoot, and he's just an absolute amazing person. And then Kazuma Suzuki's Somnia. And we have covered all 3 of these in the past. So again, I'm not going to do a full teach. I will just cover what's different. And I think what's interesting is this and this have new art, but this one is similar art. So again, just going to cover what has changed. This pack of 3 is actually a pack of 4. Man-Eating House being the 4th one, which I have not covered. So this won't be a part of this video. This will be next week, I believe, if I can keep to a schedule. Just going to cover these ones because this is going to be, you know, a general overview of what is new in these 4 new editions. But you know me, I feel so bad if I haven't covered at least a new game in a video. It feels weird to not have a full teach of the rules. So I thought I would include, this was sent to me by Huff No More. This is Mike Pecci and Josh Pecci. I hope I'm saying that right. This is their game called Sakana Stack, where I would say the hook to this is almost kind of scout-ish or Hachi Train-ish, Nonotori Dori-ish type game where you're just trying to finagle your hand under the limitations. So it's climbing, not shedding. You're trying to focus on the aspect of, kind of like in Scout, where if you played a really strong meld in Scout, players would pull off it if they couldn't beat it and kind of like deteriorate that meld. Well, in this one, that's kind of the main goal, because when that happens, you score points. So that's kind of the hook to this. I guess I should roll way back. Short Zoot, the hook is you want to balance the number of times you win tricks and the number of times you short suit. Definitely go check out the video. That's the hook. And then Somnia is a reimplementation of Mitlerjas, where you're trying to get in the middle. Or no, you're trying to get the highest and lowest. I'm confusing all my yasses, which will make sense in a little bit. But yes, I'll do a better overview of the game when we go to the table for that one. Reapers, you're predicting what you think is going to happen in the game. Again, it's been so long. And then Idle Hands, which is a bit of an avoidance game for the most part. And but you are leading with cards kind of face up in front of you in a way. There's some interesting hand manipulation in this one as well. So again, yes, I will do brief rules overviews, but mainly what is different about these editions. And then I'll do a little bit of final summation of this. This is such a weird video anyway. But yes, let's go to the table and we'll do kind of a rules teach overview of all these. But again, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Softember is going to be such a hoot. This is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what Zoo and More is. It's going to be wacky. I hope you'll join me on this month, and then leading into the actual Kickstarter month, which will be all of October, is going to be another wacky time. Thanks so much. I'll catch you at the table, and bye! Here we have the old edition of Short Zoot. So it has these wonderful bears, which are still in the new edition. It also had a variety of intermediate scoring, and this is the main thing that's going to be different. As you can see here, this is just the first one as a good example. So number of unique suites or suits in your shorts pile, if it's 1 to 4, you're going to get 1, 2, 4, 8 amount of points. So it doubles, but that's not enough. In the new version, this is going to go much higher, as you can see right here, and value that short suiting. So same with these over here. There's also going to be maybe some new ones, but that is the main difference in the new edition of Short Zoot Suit in Zoo and More. Here we have the new idle hands. If you don't know how to play idle hands, check out the video on the channel. But the gist is players will have cards in front of them, which will be kind of what they'll lead into the trick, but then they'll play from their hand when they're playing and following into the trick. There's also some wackiness with certain cards winning, but it's pretty much an avoidance game. And as you can see, this is the art, which is pretty similar to the original game, which is wonderful, is pretty wacky. Here we have Somnia. If you want a full rules teach, go check out the video on the channel for Somnia. The rules are similar, but essentially the game, you're just trying to get either highest, but not too high, lowest, but not too low, because you don't want to be in the middle. That is bad. It changes a little bit depending on the player count, but that's the gist of the game. Here we have the new edition with the new art. The cover still uses the cool feature where if the trump, or when the trump is decided in the hand, you're going to put this disc on the suit so players know what the trump is. Also, you have these cubes, which are the life of the players, and the new art. So here's the new card back. Here's some of the new art. It's by the Lunar designer who did an amazing job. And the graphic design up at the top has like the points and the numbers, which are sometimes hard to see. And I wish there was kind of a symbol, but the outline and the color can help a bit differentiate. You can kind of see like the marks there for splaying, but as you can see, the art looks wonderful and the production still has those fun moments like the cover there. Here we have the new edition of Reapers. If you don't know how to play, we have a video on the channel of how to play. Definitely check it out. The gist is that players will be drafting their hands, kind of groups of 3, and then they'll be playing trick taking where they're betting on, as you can see here, this is like the player cards. They're betting on what they think they're going to do. There's 3 different things you can bet, and then you'll get different points for it. There's also Reapro cards in the game. But in this new edition, with illustration by Imogen O, as you can see here, is, this new edition has that art. And it's also not in a tuck box anymore. If you remember, maybe OGs who remember that old video, remember it was in a tuck box and now it's in a full version. Here is a really quick show of some gameplay for Sakana Stack. Not a full teach. We have it set up for 3 players. Each player has 10 cards. The deck's 1 to 8 in a variety of suits. But how it's going to work is in the center here, whoa, you're going to have a draw deck of sorts where the top card of the draw deck is always going to be showing. It's going to be called the catch of the day. And players, when they play, they can draw from it and then use it in what they play, or they could just draw from it and pass. The goal of the game isn't to shit out your hand. The goal of the game actually is to play higher and higher things and make players have to pass on what you played. So big stuff. Let's say the sushi player was the start player and they play this 2 here. Just a coincidence that it's the same as the catch of the day. But what you can play is any amount of the same number. So coming to Mr. Krabs here, like they could play the 3 3s if it was valid. I'll get into that a little bit. Or maybe the 2 6s, or maybe one of the 6s. But what they can play, it depends on the previously played meld or the meld that's out there. So as you can see, this was a 2 and it's this pink dot suit. So Mr. Krabs here, they can play, because it's a climbing game, they can play this 3 because it's higher, and if they did that they would beat it and this would just get discarded. Or what they can do, because what they have to play is either same suit or same rank, they can play 3 3s. The rule is the bottom card of your stack, your Sakana stack, has to match either the suit or the number of the previously played card. So now this is actually like a 9. So they played a 9 to the 2. If they beat it, you would just discard at the game for now the previously played stack. So when it comes to the tentacle monster here, they're looking at their hand. They have 3 8s here, and they have to match the top. So they can't play those 3 8s because they don't have the same suit. They could play 3s, but this 1 3 isn't equal or higher than the 3 9s. So they're actually a little bit nervous. Oh, perfect. So they have the bluish purple kind of squiggle there. They're going to play 4s. So the bottom of the stack matches the suit at the top. This is a 12, whereas that's a 9, so that gets discarded. Comes to Sushi Sushi, and they're looking at this. They have to play pink, so now maybe they do something huge. They play pink, giant thing of 7s. That is 28, so that discards that. It comes to Mr. Krabs. They have to play a 7 or an orange. They don't have any 7s. This is their only orange, and those aren't high at all. So they're going to have to pass. They draw this into their hand. They pass, and that gets flipped. So what's great now is the sushi person, because they got passed on, is going to score one of their cards. They're going to take it off, and that goes into this draw pile. But now this is smaller for the tentacle person to play off of. Look at the tentacle person's hand. They sadly do not have anything to play off of. Going back, if Mr. Krabs... Nope, didn't even work. But if Mr. Krabs hadn't have pulled that 8, and that 8 was actually a yellow 8, the tentacle person could have pulled this. Remember, imagine this is a yellow 8. And could have played this. Because yellow matches, and this would be higher. You can actually draw from the draw deck and play on the same turn. But this person is going to pass, and if it ever comes back to the player, so that person will score. If it ever comes back to the player, they just score these, and then they have nothing that they, have to play off of, so then they can just play off to the start. And again, you want to refill this. So this is going to go, again, until someone's out of cards, or the deck gets out, shuffled back in, and gets out. For the second time, players are going to play rounds per player. And then at the end, players are just going to score up their score pile, or whoever has the most points wins. A couple things to note, how you score is you just get 1 point per card in your score pile. Also, you can play the same number if it's valid. It just doesn't wipe, so those would sit out there until the next player, would play a higher thing. Then they would both wipe, and play would continue. And that's how to play Sakana Stack. So that is Reapers, Idle Hands, Short Zoot Suits, Sakana Stack, and Somnia. Whew, wow, what a run through. Let's just go through them all here. And again, I was sent these games, or they're my game, so huge bias, and most of this is just similar thoughts. I don't think my opinions really change that much in the games that I'm covering. So I guess we'll start with Short Zoot Suit. This was just, again, out of that idea that I wanted to lean more into the short suiting. It's a big part of design philosophy I have is, what does the game do? Lean into it. That's kind of what we're here for. And I think short suiting is what I love about this. So let's lean into it. And that example of even the first one, the basic one, where if you short suit all 4 suits, that should be a huge feat that the players feel like, whoa, kind of like shooting the moon. Like, whoa, what did I just do? So I wanted that to feel like a lot of points, and to reward that, and making it way more than what it originally was. I love that feeling of when someone sees an alternative goal in a game, they go for it, and then, sometimes they don't hit it, but when they do, to be rewarded in that feeling. It's such a big feat, you should have the points to match. So yeah, main thing with that one. And yeah, this was just only released in Japan, so it's also great for people to be able to get it more readily. That's really nice. I always feel bad about FOMO and such. That's kind of why I designed for a standard deck, so that people can play it. And it's just nicer that, because I know people love size art because it's just absolutely amazing. This can, get out there more readily. So I'm super, super excited for this, again, to come to Kickstarter. Huge bias, obviously, this is my own thing. Next, we'll cover Somnia, which got, I think, out of the new mills, the biggest coat of paint. This is by the artist who did Lunar. I looked over there because it's right there. Who did an amazing job, oh my gosh, on Lunar, and did such an amazing job on this. And I also love that they kept, so the original Somnia had a box cover where you will put a token on the cover to denote what Trump is once it gets decided. And they kept that, which is absolutely amazing. It's one of those small touches that you're like, oh, nice. That detail, which is so fun to show people there. You don't really use the game box that often. I guess Vamp on the Batwalk comes to mind. But to have that detail still in it is great. So shout outs to Daniel's production eye for that. To the art though, speaking to the art, let me grab some pieces here. First, yes, I love the cover. It looks great. But the art itself, yes, the cardbacks are great. It just stands out in such a cute and fun way. It's that dark but cute kind of Beetlejuice vibes that kind of jump off the page, and I think this artist did such an amazing job, Alicia. And the game got the seal back in the day, and it still does to this day. I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful thread the needle type of game, and with this artwork, can't go wrong. Next, we will do Reapers, and if you remember, way back in the day, all those years and years and years ago, it's not that long ago, but I covered Reapers when it was just in a tuck box. But now it's out with the old tuck box and in with the new box, which is rad. And the new art by Imogen is great. If you like, again, we talked about little horror theme, definitely here. My only critique is I don't love suits above the rank. Not my jam. I think it always trips me up when I'm trying to read what's in the trick and even parse my hand. It always just like it gets me in my trick-taking brain. And the last one was Idle Hands, which this one had, similar art, same art as the other edition, which I love. It's funny how this definitely just fits like the new mill kind of aesthetic. And again, the art is fantastic. I think this, again, having revisited, it's always fun to revisit. I think I watched like a Tom Basil thing where he's like, oh, it's fun to revisit new editions and big box editions or whatever of games or expansions of games and get to play them again because, as someone who's covering games, I'm just always playing a lot of the new stuff or whatever comes in and such. And so it's nice to go back. And I still have that opinion of the game where I love it at 3. I do not like it at 4. At 4, you can just get messed over pretty easily. But at 3, you have that affordance to really play with the system, which I really, really like. So, still solid, still great at 3, and that's really fun to see. And so, yeah, so this trio of thematic similarities, definitely check them out. And I guess we'll finish... It's not a trio anymore. We'll finish the Quado next week with Man-Eating House. Final is Sakana Stack. And this is interesting. It's so fun to play a game that is climbing but not shedding. It's refreshing to have those kind of takes. I remember being on forums and watching Adam and Whale's videos and referencing that when people were asking, oh, what's... You have trick taking, you have climbing shedding, and often climbing shedding are paired, but what's, climbing without shedding? And there's some good examples, definitely. We still need to cover Combo Tracks by Taiki Shinzawa, because that's a great one. But Sakana Stack does a great job of that, of climbing without shedding. And I think Scout is everything that comes to mind with this game. Just that idea of trying to build a big thing, kind of a big offering of sorts, and having it last as long as you can to get points. There's pretty simple restrictions in the game that do feel, Hachi Train, where you're drawing up, you're trying to cultivate a hand, and then again like Scout. But it takes those distinct parts of the game and removes others that are huge, like the no shedding, right? I think there's some element of shedding because if you want to like kind of, I guess you're like naturally shedding because you're just like building bigger and bigger sets, and maybe you want the game to end early because you're having a weaker hand, you just want it to end. So there's maybe some elements of shedding, so I don't think it's bereft of it really. But that element in Scout of just like building a big monster thing, which is more important at 3 players in Scout, because at 5 players it just gets pulled apart so much that it never really comes around. At 5 players, you do definitely want to shed more. And at 4 players is like a good match. So I think it's Sakana Stack similarly, like at 3 players is a really good vibe where you're just trying to build these monster sets, and that card that's on offer is always nice. The fact that you can draw it and play it is nice. It's just like a smooth smooth game. And again, this was sent to me, and I haven't played it that much, so definitely initial thoughts. But it just has those two elements from like Hachi Train and Scout that makes you feel like you're crafting your hand, and it isn't terribly restrictive, but you know the goal is pretty simple. So yeah, just like a simple, nice little climbing, not shedding game. That is Sakana Sec. So yeah, check this all out. Get excited for the Kickstarter coming soon. Again, this is soft launch September, so I'll be talking about the other games in Zoo and More as we lead up to Zoo and More. I'm so excited, y'all. This is something I've been building toward for years and years and years. Huge passion project. Loads of people in the community involved. Tons of amazing artists and designers and graphic designers and logo makers and translators and wonderful people who offered advice and variants and just thoughts and proofreading and playtesting and just a lot of love and a lot of ideas that are culminating in a really fun project. I'm so excited. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch y'all later.